Instead, we are handed austerity dressed up in economic reform, a recycled script from Western financial institutions. As UAT, we reject this framework because it's an anti-poor. Because it's anti-poor in effect, colonial in spirit, and neoliberal in form. UAT called for people's budget, wealth distribution, investment in township and rural economies, and sovereign African fiscal model rooted in dignity and justice, not dictated by foreign capital or bond markets. We will not balance the book on the back of our people. We refuse to sacrifice the soul of the nation for applaud-degraded rating agency. We say no to this report, not in our name, not in Africa. Katni mambo.
Honourable Minister of Tourism.
Deputy Speaker, honourable members.
Order, honourable members. Honourable members, order.
I'm going to get brain damage of all the noise. The fiscal framework, the third iteration of Budget 2025, reflects both progress and a painful compromise. While the Minister of Finance succeeded in absorbing a 69 billion rand shortfall without entirely dismantling social or infrastructure spending, we cannot ignore that the price of political consensus has come at a cost to our people. We've seen political parties shout victory over the scrapping of the 0.5% VAT increase, but very little reflection on what does that actually means. Gone with it were vital reforms, the expansion of zero-rated food items, above inflation grant increases, and a relief for bracket creep. Yes, this budget avoids collapse, but it's also a warning light. The real work lies ahead, reforming the way we build our budgets. The Good Party has long advocated for zero-based budgeting, a reform finally echoed by the Minister. It's time for us to stop carrying forward inefficiencies and waste, allocating funds based on what South Africans need. We must settle the issue of the basic income grant once and for all. It sustains life and it restores dignity. And this is not a radical idea, not at all. It is the bare minimum in a country defined by extreme inequality and poverty. Deputy Speaker, this budget shows us what happens when politics trumps policy. While parties jockey for power, millions remain hungry, millions remain unemployed. So today's vote is not whether budget 3 or 2 is marginally better than the other. There's no going back. We will support this framework, not because it is perfect, but because South Africans can no longer wait. We cannot ask the poor of this country to carry the burden of grandstanding. The next step is not the responsibility alone of the Minister of Finance to grow this economy. It is the responsibility of the whole executive of this country. And every minister must come with their growth plan to Parliament as soon as possible. The responsibility is that of the whole of government, not only the Minister of Finance. We support this. Thank you.
The Honourable Burke.
Madam Deputy Speaker, we have a full sitting of the House to debate this report. Everyone's here. And at the risk of sounding unparliamentary, we should do this more often. It's nice to be here. And if I'm being honest, the EFF joining our court case to oppose a VAT increase and then expropriating its success without compensation just adds to the atmosphere. If there are those that still question our cooperation with the ANC, if there are individuals that still ask what we've attained in this government, what we dare dream to achieve in years ahead on this journey, let us put focus and point them to this fiscal framework. It's a story that runs far deeper than the headlines of too much expenditure, too much debt, and too little economic growth. It's a document born in concealment, raised in conflict, and matured on compromise. It is the bottom line, Madam Deputy Speaker, not just of our nation's finances, but of what the DA is willing to stand up for and what it will not tolerate. This framework draws a line, not in the sand, but in the consciousness of every South African, a line that says that even if you never voted for us, we will continue to fight for you. We will remain in the room, even if there are those vying for us to leave so that they can raise your taxes in peace. This document shows that we'll continue to ask uncomfortable questions, such as questions about the seaters, and we'll ask them again and again until things start to change. We will protect business and we will protect the poor, because despite what some on my left would say, the two are not mutually exclusive. In fact, often they are aligned. Madam Deputy Speaker, there were many that predicted that this government would not survive its first budget cycle. There were many who indicated that the DA would not be able to stop a VAT increase. And after we last debated the fiscal framework in this House, most concluded that the DA was not going to succeed and that it was in fact leaving this arrangement. But here we are. We remain. What has left is a VAT increase. And year two in this budget, we see billions in infrastructure investment. We see an employee ghost audit. And we see a kicking off of a comprehensive spending review. We have succeeded. This is to be noted, but not to be celebrated. Because even as we speak, millions of South Africans are not yet winning. And while we and the DA have succeeded in avoiding the cost of goods going up, we've not yet implemented the real economic reforms needed to make the vast majority of people better off. And we are a country with challenges from corruption to inequality to unemployment that are so vast that are perhaps only exceeded by our relentless persistence and our boundless potential as a people. But I want to be clear. The DA does support this fiscal framework. We are glad of the victories it contains. And while we support it, we're not blinkered or myopic. We need reform faster. And as much as we support Project Vulindlela, it's too little, it's too slow. Treasury is optimistically predicting 1.4% economic growth. That is not to be celebrated, that is to be improved. So the response of the DA to this fiscal framework is to march on to the next hill and then the next. To fight on until we're all living in a country where we need two hands to count economic growth and only one hand to count unemployment. Make no mistake, this forward march will not be easy. Just as they told us we would not be able to stare down a VAT increase, there are those that will tell us that the problems we confront are too complex, that they are endemic, that they are structural, and we can't fix our ports, we can't fix our public service or even our potholes. But we will prevail in that fight for the same reason that we prevailed in this budget battle. It's because we have the facts on our side. It's because we have sensible economic policy on our side. And most importantly, it is because we will have the prosperity-starved people of South Africa on our side. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, the DA supports this fiscal framework. And if things go to plan, we will support 4 more that includes rational economic policy.
The Honourable Molefe.
Marara araranela pele. Motlotlegi motlatsa Musa Khotla tla ke go lebogela tšhono eno ya gore le nna ke latlhele tshwarelo gonyane. E setse le malatsi a le 71 days. Puso ya lefatshe leno la rona la Afrika Borwa e simolotse ngwaga o montšhwa wa matlotlo mme go sena ka botekanyetso e tlhomameng e dumeletsweng ke lekgotla leno la kokoano go setšhaba. Motlotlegi tona ya matlotlo le lefapha la gagwe la matlotlo ba paletswe mo makgetlong a le mabedi go lere tekanyetso kabo e neng e ka dumelelwa ke kokoano setšhaba eno. Maiteko a bona a iteile se folletse mo makgetlong a le mabedi ka gore tona ya matlotlo o ne a batla go rwesa bahumanegi ba koba di magetleng ba ba setseng ga jaana ba rwele joko ya botlhokatiro mokgweleo wa koketso ya lekgetho lo lo itsegeng ka leina la VAT. Mo lekgetlong leno la boraro tona ya matlotlo o buile gape go leka go falosa ka botekanyetso ya ngwaga ono. Sebe sa phiri ke gore ka botekanyetso eno e ya maiteko a boraro ke tlhakantsuku ya moroke le bose. Tekanyetso kabo eno e ikaegile ka koketso ya lekgetho ya theko ya lookwane le le tsamaisang dipalangwa fuel levy. Koketso eno e santse e tlile go ama bone bahumanegi ba le badiri ka gore dituelo tsa dipalangwa le theko ya dijo di tlile go oketsega. Rona re le ba mokgatlo wa Mkhonto wa SEC re ipotsa gore go reng tona ya matlotlo a ganella mo go oketseng makgetho a tlileng go oketsa tshotlego ya batho ba e leng gore ba setse ba imelwa ke botlhokatiro le bohumanegi. Rona re ne re a lebelele makgetho a tla oketsang lotseno la puso ka go kgethisa bahumi ba e leng gore bohumi jwa bona bo kgontshitswe ke melao ya malobo ya tlhaolele. Au Motlotlegi Wessels, lefatshe la rona le aparetswe ke kobo e ntsho ya botlhokatiro. Botlhokatiro bo ka bohumanegi. Botlhokatiro bo bitsa tlala. Tlala e dira gore batho ba tshabelwe ke malwetse. Tlala e pateletsa batho go senyetsa ba bangwe. Tlala e thuba malapa. Tlala e ntsha bana mo dikolong. Tlala e ntsha bana mo magaeng a bone e ba dira bakopi mo mebileng. Tlala e tsenya bana le bagolo ka ntlo le fitshwana. Rona re le ba Mkhonto wa SEC re ne re solofetse gore tona o tla dirisa tšhono eno ya ka botekanyetso ya boraro go lwantshana le botlhokatiro. Segolo se tonna botlhokatiro jwa bana ba ba falotseng lokwalo la matriki le ba ba weditseng dithuto tsa bone tsa university. Re swabile nko go feta molomo. Re ne re solofetse go le gontsi. Re ne re solofetse gore tona ya matlotlo le puso ba tlhaloganya mathata le tshotlego e setšhaba se se ntshonyana se kamakamaneng le ona. Kwa ntle ga modimo wa boikanyo o gogileng borraetsho mo dinageng tsa lenyora, puso ke yona e rweleng mo magetleng maikarabelo a tshepo ya bofelo ya bana ba mmala wa sebilo. Go palelwa gabedi go lere ka botekanyetso e tlhomameng e lwantshang botlhokatiro le lehuma ga se phosonyana e senang ditlamorago mo bathong. go bontsha go tlhoka maikarabelo a puso mo setšhabeng se se beileng tsholofelo ya sone ya go tswa mo tshotlegong le bohuma mo go yone. Go bontsha go tlhoka boikanyego jwa puso go ntsha batho le bana ba bone mo tlaleng. Go bontsha go tlhoka ga boikanyego jwa puso go ntsha batho le bana ba bone mo tlaleng. Setšhaba se sa rona se tlhoka boetapele jo bo tla kgonang go tsaya ditshwetso tse di maleba tsa go lwantsha botlhokatiro le bohumanegi. Setšhaba sa rona se tlhoka boetapele jo bo tla tsayang ditshwetso tse di maleba tsa go godisa ikonomi ya rona gore e kgone go fa batho ditiro tse di tla fedisang botlhokatiro tlala le lehuma. Kabotekanyetso e ya ngwaga wa 2025 e ne e le tšhono ya gore puso e re bontshe tsela ya kgolo ya ikonomi, tsela ya go fetsa tlala le go thujwa ga malapa ke tlala. Tona le lefapha ba tshamekile ka tšhono eno. Re ne re reeditse ka tlhoafalo, re lebile gore marara a leng teng a re le mo go one a tla rarabologa. Mokgatlo wa Mkhonto wa Sizwe ga o ikamanye gotlhelele le tekanyetsokabo ya boraro ya ngwaga wa 2025. Ke go leboge Musakgolo.
Honorable Makubela.
Honorable members, we stand here to emphasize that the fiscal framework and revenue proposals tabled before this august House are not austerity, but contain redistributive and expansionary budget that advances transformation. This budget is the people's budget and it will work for you. Sitsigini lapho emakhaya, lolu phakelo timali lolu. Lesilindlulisako kulendlo yesichamthetho ngulelo lelitawusebentela nine nisemakhaya litawenda timpilo tenu tibe ngcono. Inhlangano ye-African National Congress lenguhulumende walolusuku iyanithembisa ukuthi le budget lesikhuluma ngayo namuhla lesithi ibudget yebantfu itawenda ukuthi timpilo tenu tithutfuke. Ngisho njani uma ngisho so kuthi ingcenye yayo leliphakelo timali leli imali le yatuke tinsita letitawusita ebantfu itawuya kutempilo itawuya tuke mfundvo kanye futhi itawenda ematfuba emsebenti latawenda kuthi emashishini lamancane akhule. Bantfu basemakhaya ngithi kini ningabalaleli laba labafike itolo laba labangadadi ukuthi baye embili noma baya phambili noma baye emuva. The ANC has a track record on maintaining the fiscal discipline and stability that is what the economy needs. The ANC is a government that needs to be trusted because its track record speaks for itself. We are committed to ensuring that there are modalities that will cushion the poor who are the most vulnerable. We trust this government and National Treasury will come up with mechanisms that will ensure that we mitigate against the high cost of living. Fellow South Africans, we stand here to dispel the notion that Black economic empowerment is negatively impacting on the economic growth of this country. It is an undeniable fact that BEE has contributed to the acceleration and the redistribution of wealth and income through various progressive policies and legislation. Without broad Black Economic Empowerment Act and the Employment Equity Act, the pace of transformation in workplaces would have been lagging, as some private sector players have blatantly refused to implement these progressive acts. And they continue to think that empowerment means only the few privileged must continue to accumulate wealth by marginalizing the majority. This is a glaring fact. Without the implementation of these acts, the ownership patterns of the economy remain skewed to the majority. Malunga lahloniphekile, singu-African National Congress, sithi lo mthetho lesawuphasisa kuleli parliamente, kule administration lendlulile, which is the 6th administration, lobitwa nge-Public Procurement Act. Ngiwo mbamba, lotawenda kutsi bomake, ebantfwana labasha, nebantfu labaphila nekukhubateka, which is the women, youth, and persons with disabilities, babekelwe ekatse, which is their set-asides. Lotawenda kutsi, ebantfu bakhone kutsi bafinyelele malula, kutsi bakhone kutsi batiphilise. Lokhu kukhombisa kutsi thine sisedvute nekuphumelela kwebantfu bonke kule Ningizimu Afrika. Sili parliament nelikomiti lelibukene nekuphakela kwetimali. Sicela kutsi ngqongqoshe welitiko kanye nedepartment yakhe kuthi abaphangise basheshe bende kuthi regulations la support the implementation of the Public Procurement Act asheshe afike kuze kuthi ebantfu bethu bahlomule. Honorable members, South Africa's fiscal financial sector is a concentrated sector with 4 banks controlling over 80% of the sector. Bantu baseNingizimu Afrika kumele kuthi balade iqiniso kuthi emabhange aqhubeka njalo nokwenda kuthi kube lukhuni kutfolwa imali tekusungula emabhizinisi lamancane. Asithi nje pheceleti emabhange akafuni kuboleka ebantfu imali ukuthi basungule emabhizinisi. This is an anomaly relative to other emerging economies. In our oversight on the banking sector, after receiving inputs from most of the banking institutions, we found that credit allocation does not support emerging economic players, mainly the SMMEs sector. Rather, the banks prefer allocating for the short-term financing due to the high profitability, such as vehicle finance. Malunga lahloniphekile, walendlu yesishayamithetho. I must remind you that the lack of support provided to the SMMEs by the banks was glaring even through the COVID pandemic, despite that the government had made guarantees. Sitawuqhubeka thina silikomiti sisishayamithetho ukuthi sende ukuthi ebantfu bakhone ukuthi bafinyelele and this sector itransformeke. Because ngaphandle kwale sector lena angeke sikhone kukhulisa live lethu nemgogodla wale live lethu. Silikomiti letetimali sithi siyagcizelela ukuthi our state-owned enterprises, which play a critical role in the network industries as a critical growth driving focus, without their productivity and efficiency, their potential will be negatively impacted. Honorable members, sithi ema state-owned enterprises angumgogodla wale live leli laseNingizimu Afrika. Ene sithi singuhulumende angeke siwayekele siwabekele ecathatha. Sitawubuka tinsita letawenda kuthi sisungule ema-private public partnerships latawenda kuthi angafi. Singu-African National Congress siyasho sithi singebantfu leningabathemba bantu baseNingizimu Afrika. Our track record speaks for itself. African National Congress, we had ensured that there is fiscal discipline and we ensure that fiscal discipline is maintained in the country. Sibekile thina indvuku ebandla. Ebantfu bethu bayakwati ukuthi thine bangasethemba. Ngaloko ke sithi African National Congress siyalisupporta loluphakelo timali. Siyabonga.
the Minister of Finance.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, honorable members, Honorable Alexander was correct. We have had a painful journey to arrive to this date where the fiscal framework is being approved. It has been a painful journey. Definitely from the Treasury perspective, we've drawn a number of lessons. But I suspect also members of this House must draw a number of lessons as to how in practice are we going to manage the debates around the fiscal framework moving forward. It's quite an important point. I'm raising that point because it's quite critical. It seems to me, over the next 4 years, that's how we're going to manage each other. What is then, in the light of that, let me deal with some conceptual issues. What does a fiscal framework involves? A fiscal framework involves the envelope which the Minister of Finance tables and says, this is the envelope. All the expenditure has gone to operate within this envelope. What are the elements of that envelope? The elements of that envelope is revenue. How much are we going to raise? Is borrowing. How much are we going to borrow? Against that revenue, how much are we going to spend? That's the envelope which we're dealing with. As part of that, we need some forecasting, as members are saying. Let me just say to Honorable Swart, there's no incentive on Treasury to over-forecast. Precisely because if we over-forecast, we're short-changing ourselves. It's better for Treasury not to over-forecast so that at the end of the year we seem good by collecting more revenue than we projected. So, honorable members, when they deal with the budget in terms of the fiscal framework, they've got also to strike that balance. I've made the point in the past, and I continue to make it. The size of the debt is not the important factor, it's the capacity of the economy to service that debt. If the economy is not growing, that's why nobody worries in certain countries they've got more than 100% debt to GDP, because the economy has the capacity to service the debt. What is this budget about? It's about three issues. It's about three issues I want to talk about. The first one is the notion that this budget is an austerity budget. There's a difference between a dictionary meaning and a public finance meaning. What does the literature say? What does the literature conceptually say? Austerity is when you raise taxes or you cut expenditure in order to finance a debt reduction. That's important. What is the objective? Is to deal with debt reduction. That's not what this budget is trying to achieve. What this budget is trying to achieve, those of us, if you look over the past 4 months, what we've been fighting about is not how much we cut the budget, it's about how much are we going to increase the budget and how are we going to fund that increase. That's the debate that has been missing. The debate is how much are we going to increase the expenditure and how are we going to fund that? And a number of people have missed that. So, this budget is not austerity. We're increasing taxes not to focus on debt, but to focus on funding social services, education, health, and so on. We made the point from day one that in some of these hospitals, people have worked in health departments in provinces. I don't know where do we come from. In any province, you go to a department of health, they will tell you one major point, that they've got accruals which have accumulated over years. They can't pay. We were raising money exactly to assist those health departments.
Order, honourable members.
That's what this budget is about. It's to deal with those issues. We tell honourable members of this House that last year, health departments have lost about 9,000 health workers. They couldn't replace them. And in the debate and the noise about VAT, little debate is focusing on how do we deal with that crisis in health services. It's a crisis. Everybody is going to come after the budget, say, this government is not delivering. Look at how hospitals look like. Forgetting that they blocked a budget here, which is intended to achieve exactly that objective. This budget is redistribution. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. Despite all of these things, we've managed to increase social grants by more than inflation. It's a fact. It's a fact. We're spending more than 61% on the social wage. That's what this budget is trying to achieve. The third point we want to raise, this budget is about growth. This budget is about growth. I sympathize with the colleague from the party, is UNCC. We said, look, we appreciate you've got R1 trillion. At least he recognizes that. His worry, correctly so, like everybody should, as his honored members, is that money going to be utilized efficiently and effectively? That should be the concern of these members. But you can't fault the budget. You can't fault the budget. Don't fault the budget. 409 billion rand is going to spend on the transport infrastructure over the next 3 years. You can't fault this budget. If it's not spent properly, that's your duty as members of parliament to do your oversight. That's a duty. Discharge this responsibility. Members of parliament has got to make sure that this R1 trillion on infrastructure is spent effectively and efficiently. As I conclude, we have done all of this in a fiscal sustainable way. All of this, we have done it in a fiscal sustainable way. There's no doubt about that.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Order, Honourable Members. Order, Honourable Members. I now recognize the Honourable Chief Whip of the largest party. Order, Honourable Members.
Thank you very much, House Chairperson. Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to all honorable members and Deputy President. I propose that this fiscal framework report be adopted. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Chief Whip. The motion is that the report be adopted. Are there any objections to the adoption of the report? Order, Honourable Members. Order. There's objections from the MK Party, the EFF. Are there any further objections? Can you get the microphone to the Chief Whip of the opposition, please?
Thank you, House Chair. Ikombela ku abanyisa indlu. We are calling for division. Thank you.
A division having been called, the bells will be rung for 5 minutes. Honorable members, may I just remind the whips that the doors will close within the next minute. So members who are outside will not be allowed in. Honorable members, take up your allocated seats. Honorable members, please take up your allocated seats and settle down. Honorable members, take up your allocated seats. Order, honorable members. There are still members there at the back who are not seated. Please take up your seats. Honorable members, order. The Speaker has determined that in accordance with the rules, a manual voting procedure will be used for this division. Firstly, in order to establish a quorum, I would request the table to confirm that we have the requisite number of members physically present in the chamber to take this decision. Party whips will then be given an opportunity to confirm the numbers of the members present. Order, honorable members. Order. We will confirm the number of the members present and indicate if they vote for or against the question. A member who wishes to abstain or vote against the party vote may do so by informing the chair. Having confirmed that we do have the requisite quorum, we will now proceed. The question before the House is that the 2025 fiscal framework and the revenue proposals and the report of the Standing Committee on Finance be agreed to. Voting will now commence, and the doors to the chamber will remain locked, and members will not be allowed to enter until the voting is concluded. Failure to observe this may lead to a referral to the Powers and Privileges Committee. Whips, could you confirm the number of your members present in the chamber and indicate if they vote for or against the question? The ANC.
Thank you. The ANC chair with 145 members in attendance vote in favor of the report. Thank you.
Thank you. The Democratic Alliance.
Thank you, House Chair. The DA with 80 members in the House votes in favor.
Thank you. MK Party. Order, honorable members.
House Chair, MK Party, Hirbahloni Pekiba 49, High Allah report, we vote against.
Thank you. The EFF.
Thank you, Chair. The EFF, we are 38 in the House and we are voting against.
The IFP.
you, House Chairperson. The IFP with 14 members, we vote in favor.
The PA.
Thank you, Honorable House Chairperson. The Patriotic Alliance feels like we are 90, but in essence, we are 9 in favor. Thank you.
Order, honorable members. Order. The Freedom Front Plus. Order, honorable members. I can't hear the member.
Thank you, House Chairperson. The FF Plus are 5 members in the House voting in favor.
Thank you. Action SA.
Action SA, 4 members, Radumela.
The ACDP.
Thank you, House Chair. The African Christian Democratic Party has 2 voted in favor.
The UDM.
Thank you, House Chair. The UTM with 2 in the House in favor.
Order. Order, honorable members. Order. Rais Mzansi. Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. You can have that discussion outside with the honorable members. Rais Mzansi.
Thank you very much, Chair. Rais Mzansi, 2 members in support.
Pausa.
Build One South Africa with 2 members in the House abstains.
ATM. Order, honorable members. Al-Jama.
Al-Jama, 1 in the House, we vote in favor.
The NCC. Order, honorable members.
2 members, Chairperson, we accept.
The PAC.
PAC.
The PAC.
1 in the House voting in favor.
Thank you. The UAT.
UAT, Kilimo, Kahana.
Order, honorable members. Good.
1 in favor.
Is there any member that wishes to abstain or vote differently to their political party? Please indicate now. Thank you, honorable members. Thank you. Honorable members, the voting session is now closed. Order, honorable members. Honorable members, the outcome of the division is as follows. There's 2 abstentions. 88 voted against and 268 voted in favor. The question is accordingly agreed to. Yes, I indicated 2 abstentions. Thank you. Honorable members, I now request honorable members to stand and to wait for the presiding officer and the mace to leave the chamber. That concludes the business for the day and the House is adjourned.